Hey guys, before we get started today, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to an absolutely phenomenal horror narrator, Macabre Horror. He has truly become one of my favorite horror narrators on the platform, and I really don't know how he doesn't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers already, because his content is seriously amazing. So please, after this video, make sure to go over to his channel and show him some love. Without further ado, I'll let Macabre take you from here. Enjoy.
I didn't want to do Firewatch anymore. That's the part I don't say out loud, because it sounds soft. Like I'm complaining about a job 100 people would kill for. Alone in a tower, paid to look at trees and sunsets. Peaceful shift. Easy overtime. People love the idea of it. The reality is, the quiet gets inside you. Not the nice kind of quiet. The kind that makes you hear your own thoughts too clearly. The kind that makes every small sound feel like a question. By my 3rd season, I started doing little things just to prove I still existed. Talking to myself. Leaving the radio on low, even when dispatch wasn't calling. Walking the catwalk around the cabin every hour, and checking the same bolts I'd checked an hour before. So, when the district offered me a transfer to a different tower, a new forest, a new coverage area, a fresh start, as they put it, I said yes way too fast. Anything to get out of the habit loop. They didn't frame it as a favour either. They called it temporary coverage. A staffing shortage. Too many people out sick, a couple out on injury. And one tower position sitting open because no one wanted the assignment after the last guy left early. That's how they put it in the email. No details, just an empty line where the explanation should have been. They called it Tower 12 on the paperwork. Out there, it was just a skinny shape on a ridge, stuck above the tree line like a cigarette burning down. I drove in late morning, with my gear rattling in the back of the truck. Duffel, cooler, a cheap camp chair, the issued radio, and a paper map that looked like it was printed before smartphones existed. When you start Firewatch, there's a script they give you, the basics. Don't go off trail. Don't hike alone. Don't engage unknown hikers. Report anything suspicious. And trust your training. But they don't have a section for how not to lose your mind when you're the only human voice you hear for days. That's what I was trying to outrun. The tower was accessed by a service road that turned into a dirt track, that turned into something you'd only call a road if you were feeling generous. The last half mile, I could feel every rock through the tyres. Pines leaned in. The world narrowed. The tower itself had a small cabin at the base, more like a tool shed with a bed, and stairs that climbed into the sky. The top platform boxed in by windows on all 4 sides. A tiny lighthouse in a sea of green. There was no one waiting for me. No handoff ranger. No welcome. Just a note clipped to the inside of the cabin door. It read, keys under the mug, generator tested, water in tank, radio check-in at 1800. D. I unlocked the cabin, dropped my stuff, and stood in the doorway, listening. Nothing moved except the trees. It should have felt like relief. Instead, it felt like being set down in an empty room and realizing the door had quietly clicked shut behind you. I did the routine. Inventory, radio check, generator. Firefinder in the tower still leveled. Binoculars in the drawer. logs in a binder with a pen attached by string like a bank chain. Then, because I've always been the kind of person who fills silence with action, I went for a walk. It wasn't even a real hike. More like stretching my legs, getting a feel for the area. The tower sat on a ridge with a loop trail that circled through the high timber before dropping down into the lower, denser woods. I told myself I'd go a mile out and come back. I made it about 15 minutes before I saw the first piece of clothing. A hoodie. Grey, damp at the cuffs, snagged on a low branch like it had been thrown up there. The fabric was stretched at the shoulders as if someone had grabbed it hard. I stopped and stared. My first thought was litter. Tourists, teenagers. People leave junk everywhere. Then I looked closer and saw it wasn't old. It wasn't sun-bleached. It wasn't torn by time. It looked recently placed, like it still remembered the shape of a body. I stepped towards it and checked the ground around the tree. No footprints I could make out. The soil was dry and packed. Pine needles hid everything. I didn't touch it. I didn't want to. I took a mental note of the location and kept walking. 200 yards later, there was a sneaker. One. Just one. It sat on the trail like someone had set it down carefully. Toe pointed downhill, laces still tied. That's when my stomach tightened. People lose shoes in a hurry. Shoes don't just fall off. Not unless something is wrong. I kept moving, telling myself I'd mark it and report it later when I had more information. That rational voice lasted until I found the shirt. It was a white button-up, the kind someone wears to an office. It was draped across a boulder just off the trail, sleeves hanging down like arms. The buttons were missing, not ripped, missing, as if someone had popped them off in a panic. I felt the hair on my arms rise. I looked around, scanning between the trees. And for a second, just a second, I thought I saw movement far back in the timber. Not an animal darting, not a bird. Something tall shifting its weight, like it had been standing there a while and got tired of holding still. When I focused, there was nothing, just trunks and shadow. My brain tried to dismiss it. My body didn't. I turned back the way I came. But then, I heard the scream. It was distant, but clear enough that my body reacted before my mind did. High, sharp, and human. A woman, maybe. The kind of scream that isn't surprise, but fear. Sustained, ragged at the end, like someone's throat had already been screaming for a while. I froze. The woods went still in a way that felt wrong. Even the birds shut up, like they were listening too. I waited for a second scream. It didn't come. I started moving anyway, fast but controlled, following the direction the sound seemed to come from. That's another stupid instinct. Run towards trouble because maybe you can help, because that's what rangers do. Because you don't want to be the person who heard a scream and walked away. The trail dipped and twisted. Trees thickened. The air smelled wetter down here, more earth than pine. I pushed through brush and kept listening. Nothing. No footsteps, no sobs, no muffled shouting. Just my own breathing and the soft crunch of needles. I stopped and listened again, holding my breath until my lungs burned. Silence. I pulled my radio off my belt and brought it to my mouth.
Dispatch, this is Tower 12. Copy?
Static hissed back. Then, a click.
Tower 12, go ahead.
Hearing a human voice should have calmed me. It didn't.
I heard a scream.
I said.
Possible hiker distress. I'm on the loop trail, headed south-southeast of the tower. I'm also seeing scattered clothing along the path. Requesting guidance, possibly send a unit.
There was a pause. Not the kind where someone's thinking. The kind where the line feels open and empty. Like your words went into a hallway and didn't echo. Then dispatch said,
Copy, Tower 12. Can you confirm location?
I can give coordinates in a minute.
Negative.
dispatch said. That snapped my attention.
Repeat.
Return to the tower.
Dispatch said again. Same tone, too flat.
Do not leave the trail. Do not approach voices.
I stared at the radio. Rangers aren't supposed to tell you, don't approach voices. We're supposed to tell you to stay safe, yes. But if you hear someone screaming, you respond or you call for backup. That's the job.
Is there an active incident in the area?
I asked.
Any missing persons? Anything I should know?
Another pause. Then,
Return to the tower.
no explanation. My throat went dry.
Dispatch, identify.
The radio hissed. Then, the voice came back, a little quieter, like it leaned closer to the microphone.
Return before the light goes.
I clicked off transmit and stared at the trees. That was wrong. That wasn't normal procedure. That wasn't dispatch talk. I turned back towards the tower. And that's when I saw it. Not at first. Not like a clear shape. Just a wrongness between two trunks, about 20 yards off the trail. The way the shadows looked heavier in one spot. The way my eyes kept sliding to it, even when I tried to focus elsewhere. I stopped, slowly, and looked directly at it. Two eyes caught the light. Not reflective like a deer, not wide like an owl. Flat, set forward, watching like a person watches. I stood there too long, trying to tell myself it was a bear, a big cat, a hiker crouched down being weird. Then, it leaned forward slightly, enough for me to see more of it. It was tall, too tall for the way it moved. Its shoulders rose and fell like it was breathing slow, controlled. The head was wrong, elongated, and the neck seemed to fold in on itself like it didn't have the right joints. And it didn't blink. That's what got me. That steady, unbroken stare. Like it didn't need to blink because it wasn't a living thing the way I understood living things. Like blinking was a habit for creatures that get tired. We locked eyes. And it held my gaze like it was doing something with it. Like it was waiting for something to change in my face. I tried to look away and couldn't. My body felt pinned by that stare. My hands started sweating so much, my grip on the radio slipped. The air around it looked wrong too, subtle but wrong. Like the space near its body was slightly out of focus. Like heat haze over asphalt, even though the day was cool. Then, without warning, the thing's mouth opened. It didn't roar, it screeched. A sound so sharp and raw, it cut through me like wire. It started high, broke into a wet, rattling trill, and then dropped into a low, vibrating growl that I felt in my teeth. The woods didn't just go silent. They felt like they recoiled. The thing snapped its head to the side, as if listening to something I couldn't hear. And then it moved. It didn't run like an animal. It moved like it knew exactly where the ground was without looking, stepping between roots without hesitation, gliding from tree to tree. And then it was gone. I stood there shaking, half expecting it to swing back around and charge me. It didn't. That made it worse. Because if it wanted me, it could have taken me right then. Instead, it left like it had made a decision. I started walking fast towards the tower, not running, because running makes noise. And noise in the woods is like bleeding in water. I kept my head on a swivel, scanning left and right, trying to catch any movement. Every snapped twig made my shoulders jump. Every gust of wind sounded like someone whispering my name in a voice that almost fit. As I got closer to the ridge, the trees thinned slightly, and I could see higher sky through the canopy. The light was changing. The afternoon was tilting towards evening. Shadows stretched longer, and the world started to cool. I told myself, get back, lock up, call in, wait for backup. Then, I heard someone trying to get my attention.
Hey.
It came from my right, close enough that I flinched. A man's voice. Normal volume, like someone calling you from across a room. I froze mid-step. The voice called again, a little farther away now.
Hey, over here.
It sounded familiar in that generic way all voices can, like it was shaped to fit my expectation. I didn't answer. I raised the radio. "Dispatch," I said, pressing transmit. "I have..." Static. No click, no response, just empty hiss. I let go of the button and tried again. Nothing. The voice called again, but more urgent this time.
"Ranger, please!"
I looked towards where it came from. Trees, brush, a small dip in the ground like an old washout. No person, no movement. I took a step towards it and then stopped. Dispatch had told me not to approach voices. I didn't want to admit how much that sentence made sense now. Still, what if it was real? What if someone was hurt? What if I walked away and later found out I ignored someone who needed help? That guilt hook is dangerous. It makes you move when you shouldn't. "Where are you?" I called, keeping my voice flat. The reply came instantly.
"Right here."
Not from the dip. From behind me. Every muscle in my body went tight. I spun. Nothing. Then I saw it. Just a flicker between trunks, like a shadow slipping from one tree to the next. The same flat eyes, now closer, low to the ground, as if it had crouched. And the voice came again, softer, right at the edge of hearing.
Just come here.
I backed up, slow. My boots hit something on the trail. I looked down. A piece of clothing, a jacket this time, dark green, Ranger issue green. For a second, my brain refused to understand what it was seeing. Then I recognized the shoulder patch, older style, faded. Not mine, someone else's. I felt cold spread through my chest. The voice called again, and this time, it changed. It shifted pitch, trying something new, like it was testing what made me twitch. I looked up and saw movement in the trees again. Two shapes. No, one shape, but moving in a way that suggested it could be anywhere, like my eyes couldn't keep hold of it. Then, the thing stepped out far enough for me to see its full outline for the first time. It was taller than I'd thought. Long limbs, too long. Elbows bending in the wrong direction for a second before snapping into place. Its chest was narrow and high, like a starving deer. But the posture was almost human. Shoulders rolled forward, like it was trying to imitate the way we stand. Its head was wrong. Not antlers, not a skull like the stories. Something stripped down and stretched, the face too long. The mouth pulled back into something that might have been a grin if it wasn't full of darkness. But what made my stomach flip wasn't the mouth. It was the way it stood too still again, like it was letting me see it on purpose. Like it wanted me to understand I wasn't spotting wildlife. I was being shown something. It stared at me again. And for a second, I realized I could see the clothes it had left behind in a different way. Not as a trail I found by accident, but as markers. Like breadcrumbs someone else had laid to get me to walk a certain direction. Then, it lunged. Fast, no warning, no stalking grace. Just a sudden burst that turned the space between us into nothing. I ran. Not the controlled walking from before, real running. Adrenaline dumping into my legs like gasoline. Branches snapped at my arms. Brush tore at my pants. I didn't care. I only cared about distance and not falling. Behind me, the screech hit again. Closer. Mixed with the sound of something tearing through undergrowth without slowing. I didn't look back. Looking back is how you trip. The trail twisted and climbed. I recognized the slope now, the pull towards the ridge. The tower should have been ahead. Maybe 10 minutes if I didn't die first. Something brushed my pack hard enough to yank me sideways. Not a branch, not wind. A hand. It snagged fabric and pulled. I felt the strap jerk. I stumbled, caught myself, and heard the thing's breath. A wet inhale, right behind my ear. I swung my elbow backward blindly. I hit something hard and bony. It hissed, a sound like steam. And then, it was on me. It raked across my back with something sharp. Pain flared, hot and immediate. Like someone dragged a row of fish hooks from my shoulder blade down to my ribs. My shirt tore. The cold air hit the raw skin underneath and made my vision spark. I screamed, and that sound made me angry, because it was exactly what it wanted. I kept running anyway, my teeth clenched so hard my jaw ached. The tower came into view through the trees. Thin metal legs, the cabin roof catching the last gold light. It looked unreal, like something drawn on a postcard. I hit the clearing at the base of the tower and nearly tripped over my own feet. I grabbed the first stair railing and hauled myself up 2 steps at a time, boots clanging on metal. Behind me, the screech hit again, furious now, and I heard the thing slam into the bottom of the stairs. The whole structure shuddered. I didn't stop. I climbed until my lungs burned, and my back felt like it was leaking warmth down my spine. Halfway up, I risked a glance down. It was there at the base, looking up. In the slanting sunset, its eyes didn't just reflect. They looked fixed, like holes drilled into the world. It didn't climb. It just stared as I climbed higher. Like it knew I had to come back down eventually. I reached the platform, fumbled the key in the lock with shaking hands, and got the tower door open. I slammed it behind me and threw the deadbolt. Then I leaned against it, panting, trying not to pass out from the pain in my back. Through the window, I saw it move away into the trees. Not running, not panicked. Leaving, slow and controlled, like it was done for now. Like it had learned what it needed. My radio crackled. A click. Then the voice came through, calm again, too calm.
Good.
It said.
You made it back.
I stared at the radio like it was a snake.
Who are you?
I whispered. The voice answered without hesitation.
Dispatch.
Then, softer, almost amused.
Don't go outside. After dark.
And the line went dead. I looked towards the horizon. The sun was slipping behind the ridge. The woods below the tower were already turning black. I pressed a shaking hand to my back and felt wetness. Blood, warm under my palm. Below, somewhere in the trees, something moved just out of sight. Not rushing, waiting. I forced my thumb down on the radio again, harder this time, until my knuckle whitened.
Dispatch,
I said, voice shaking.
this is Tower 12. I was attacked. I need immediate assistance.
Static. Then, finally, another click. A different voice this time. More real. Breath in the mic. Paper shuffling in the background.
Tower 12, copy. Stay inside. Another ranger is en route to you now. ETA approximately 40 minutes. Keep your line open.
Hope hit me so hard it made my eyes burn. I looked out the window again. The tree line was just a dark edge now, and the last light was gone from the trunks. For a moment, I saw those flat eyes again, low in the shadow, watching the tower like it was watching a clock. And then they slid out of view, like it had time, like it could wait, and like 40 minutes was a very, very long time.